What's up, everybody? It's the Golf on CBS show. Patrick McDonald, Johnson Wagner. I'm Shane Bacon. Johnson, I got to come to you first. You've been doing these kind of like live in-game golf shots since you've joined CBS, and you had a putt. I think it was at the 14th. Was that the Scottie putt you had on Sunday? Do you get to hit practice putts at all? Like, had you hit a putt before then?
Absolutely not. I think it needs to be authentic. And I was fine. I usually get a little bit nervous. I was fine. And then right as I pulled the putter away, my hands just started uncontrollably shaking. And I just didn't want to chunk it on the way down. So I caught it pretty clean and hit it, I don't know, 50, 40 feet by. But yes, that was a nerve-wracking shot for some reason because I can chunk a wedge and it's fine. But if you chunk a putt, there's something bad there.
That segment might die if you chunk a putt. They might go, okay, Johnson, we're gonna try to think of something else. That was maybe not your best moment. I thought it was a great little shot you hit against Colt. I did want to ask, you hit closest to the pin on Colt where the wedge was like 60 something yards, a little nipper. That thing grabbed pretty quickly. How much did you take off him? It looked like 100, but I think it might be more.
You're in the ballpark. It was not more than that. It was $100. I took 100 off of him and paid my caddy yesterday at Whisper Rock with it.
Oh, there you go.
I love that. Colt brings you out and you get to pay him with Colt's money. Patrick, fun week in Phoenix. We talked so much about the event, always delivering. Hideki can't avoid a playoff. It's just in his DNA when you think about Phoenix. I saw Brendan Porath throw out the idea that if he's near the lead come Sunday, they got to move the tee times up. And then around Phoenix, if Hideki's right there with 18 holes to play. But Chris Gotterup gets the win, birdied 6 of his final 7 holes. Now has just become a winning machine. I was looking at it. I mean, this guy's 26 years old, likely going to make the President's Cup, which kind of fits into something you and I talked about last year. You should have to play in a President's Cup before a Ryder Cup. But feels like maybe the young guy we've been hoping we'd see in terms of American golf.
I mean, if you're Keegan Bradley, you're probably kicking yourself a little bit not bringing him to Bethpage Black too, with how some of the roster's looking now. And I mean, his ties to the area also, and his fit for that golf course too, and how he was playing going up into that tournament as well. But he kind of reminds me, like off the tee, he reminds me of a home run derby hitter, especially with that glove not really strapped. And then on and around the greens, it's kind of like a big man with really good footwork. He doesn't come across as a guy who should have this finesse and this touch. And he hit a number of quality short game shots, I think early in his round on Sunday to kind of keep him in it. He missed the green short and left on one, hit a really nice one into the bank to get up and down and kind of ease himself into that round. And then like you mentioned, Shane, the finish was just awesome. Even the par there on 16, he had a pitching wedge from what, like a $180, $170, which is just stupid. And just the different. Yeah, come on. That should not be happening. But just the different gears and the trajectories and windows that he can hit out of. One of the more fun guys to watch, and we're seeing in real time just his sense of the moment and the guts that he has when the putts really matter down the stretch.
Johnson, I did some comps to Wyndham Clark with this guy in terms of, kind of coming on and then getting some wins and now starting to win big events. He's also kind of like a righty Bubba in just the way he kind of sets up and hits golf shots with the hands around the greens as well. What's it like watching him warm up, especially with the driver? Because the speed is incredible, and obviously he knows where it's going.
There's few guys that the ball just makes a different sound when it comes off, and he's one of them. And better than that, like Chris Gotterup, he's a New Jersey guy. He's one of the coolest guys out there as well. He's really grounded, down to earth. And I mean, I think, Patrick, you said it perfectly. The way he hits the windows, he's got that stinger driver. That's why he had so much success in Scotland, Hawaii. Like he just hits these different shots. It's refreshing to see, because in an era where guys just hit it real high and hit a straight ball or their standard shot, he's actually out there maneuvering it kind of like a Bubba. That's a great comp.
I want to give a shout out to Hideki. It's easy to talk about the disappointment from Hideki, Patrick, but I was listening to a podcast yesterday talking about Hideki's round, and it's wild that he shot 3 under par considering the way he was hitting off the tee. I think it's just a credit to like professional golf in general, as you could be that wayward off the tee both ways and still get it in the hole. I know he didn't win, and I'm sure he's kicking himself for, maybe not making birdie on 17, forget the bogey on 18 to get into that playoff. But the fact that he was able to just put a round together, it looked disgusting off the tee, and it was pretty impressive considering the number he was able to kind of add up at the end of it.
He was bogey free 4 under through 17 holes, where he hit 3 fairways. One was by an inch, and one of the other ones almost went in the water there. on 17. I thought it was flat out super impressive that Hideki was able to do this. It felt like in the middle of his round, the first 8 holes he was missing left, right, whichever which way. But in the middle of the round, it seemed like he kind of just deployed a strategy of, I'm going to try to swing as hard as possible off the tee, and hopefully this is going to miss right. He missed in the right areas there on 13 and 15 away from the trouble, and I was shocked that he missed left on 18 again, even though he had no idea where it was going. He was missing right that entire time, and just unfortunately just poor shot at a poor time with him coming out of those church pew bunkers. But I'm with you, Shane. Some people called it fluky. I thought it was a really professional, albeit messy round up to that 18th hole.
Johnson, Scottie was, I'd say, not impressive in terms of the ball striking. Still, he almost wins. What was your takeaway from Scottie kind of over the weekend?
Really putted it well. I walked with him Sunday, so got to see everything. Even the putts that he hit that didn't go in looked like they had a chance. And I'm telling you what, he has found a new gear with this driver. He's registered a couple, it's still his old driver, but he's quietly picked up, I'm going to call it 8-9 miles an hour clubhead speed if he needs it. A couple shots at the Amex where he took water out of play on stadium number 5, the par 5, and then where he hit it on 18. Ball carried 328 yards and rolled out 352. Scottie Scheffler didn't have that gear last year, and I think the hard work he put in the offseason is paying off. And I also like that he's not out there talking about how much speed he's picked up. He's just like doing it the Scottie Scheffler way, quietly.
Yeah, showing it on the board. Patrick, you and I talked on Sunday, wrapping it up, and I said, obviously wins are impressive. I mean, guys pick up a whole bunch of victories. That's what you're hoping to do as a professional golfer. Sometimes these types of finishes for somebody like Scottie impress me even more. I mean, he doesn't have his game all week. Iron play not that great, yet able to, turn it into a T3. I mean, the fact that he was basically right there with a couple holes left to play, I mean, it just proves the level of player he is. We know he's going to win when he plays great. We know he might win when he doesn't play great, but the fact that he can win when he plays this poorly on the opening round proves and shows everything you need to know about the guy, right?
I mean, he spotted the winner 10 strokes there on Thursday and had a chance from the middle of the fairway on the last hole to get up and down and be in that playoff. I do want to toss it back to Johnson. Johnson, was there anything you saw with the wedge play in particular? It kind of just seems it's been a little inconsistent for Scottie Scheffler standards through the first 8 rounds of his season. Obviously a very small sample size, but anything with those clubs you saw from Scottie?
Not just wedges. It was kind of his iron play getting a little bit steep, coming down at a much more descending angle. He hit a pretty poor 7-iron into the 15th, and he looked down at that divot for probably 15 seconds or so. So I think he's just got something a little tweak to make on his downswing, and I think it'll clean up the wedges as well, because the shot he hit into 18 from 66 yards, I mean, I thought there was a better chance of him holing it than not making par. He's just going on this incredible run. There's a huge crowd. Scottie's gonna make this. He's definitely making birdie. So to hit that shot was a little poor, and I think he'll have some time this week to iron it out. And man, I know somebody on this team's not picking Scottie, but that's not me.
We'll get into that later in the show. We'll talk a little bit about Patrick Reed and his victory as well as we get into Pebble Beach and the signature event this week. Johnson, those were the 2 iron shots to me that stood out as well on Sunday. Just kind of eyeing the one into the par 5, and it comes up 15, 20 yards short into that bunker. And I mean, he's still able to get that up and down for birdie, but I think he nailed it with 18. Bombs it down there. I mean, I remember JB Holmes years ago hit a drive on 18. They put a plaque down. It was such a bomb at 18. And the fact that Scottie had a flip lob wedge in and hits it to 40, 50 feet. I mean, you're sitting there thinking this thing's going to get inside of 5 feet. That's just unusual. And again, unusual golf shots throughout the week, and he's still right there. It's wild that he can kind of do it with whatever pitch he has, right?
17 straight top 10s. I mean, the guy's incredible. I don't think we've seen anything like that since, I believe, 1965, Billy Casper.
Yeah, here you go.
There we go. Incredible.
Yeah, it's just wild. I mean, when you do something, Patrick, that like Tiger didn't do and Jack didn't do, I will give Scottie a shout out, by the way. He was asked about the cut streak, Patrick, I think after making the cut on Friday, and he's like, it's easier to make cuts these days. Like, I love the fact that he's at least aware enough to know that the no-cut events make his life a little bit easier, but it's not like he's flirting a lot of the time with missing cuts or finishing 30th, through the halfway mark.
I know. I mean, going back to 22 when this run started, I think of Southern Hills, he didn't play well, and then the St. Jude Championship, which is the last one that he made. But going back to Johnson's point about consecutive top tens, I think since the 22 Phoenix Open, he has 47 top fives in 81, 82 starts, something like that. So half the time he's finishing inside the top five over a 4-year stretch. That is flat out ridiculous at this point.
Patrick, anybody else stand out to you? I thought Victor played well considering the swing changes. Good to see him play the way he played on a golf course. He has not played well in his career, obviously rolling that into Pebble Beach, a place he's played great at, especially as an amateur. Anybody else stand out to you outside of Gotterup winning, Hideki being right there?
I mean, Cootie's continuing to play some really good golf. I think Thor Bjornsson getting that experience in that arena down the stretch kind of reminds me a little bit of the Gala a few years ago, where he kind of crumbled a little bit, and hopefully it can serve him well. I know we're all super high on him. And something to look at with Victor is he was like towards the bottom in terms of driving distance this week. I don't know if that was a strategy just to put the ball in the fairway more. We know how good of an iron player he is. But over the last 3 years, he's lost a little bit of speed. Shane, I know he has the new driver in the bag from Ping, so just something to look at. Probably won't get a good look at it at Pebble Beach this week, but maybe as we get into the schedule here.
And Johnson, that's something that we chatted about last week. Victor saying that he's been spinning the offseason and the swing changes to pick up speed. So interesting that obviously that hasn't translated yet. It feels like everybody's obsessed with speed. I love what you said about Scottie, basically the one guy not talking about speed yet. He's picking it up. Anybody stand out to you, Johnson, in terms of either good or bad? I mean, Koepka didn't play great through 2 rounds. Jordan Spieth didn't play great through 2 rounds. Anybody stand out to you?
Jake Knapp is continuing to play great. Finished 11th at Sony. Finished 5th at San Diego and 8th. Jake Knapp going up to Pebble Beach. He hits it a long way. There's a chance to get some rain this week. So a soft pebble plays really long. Having the ability to get ball speeds in the mid 190s and not even look like you're doing it is going to be a huge thing. Jake Knapp is playing some great golf. He's got a new caddy on the bag this year as well. Brian Reed, longtime caddy for Matt Kuchar. I think that's going to be a combination to watch going forward this year.
I think Jake Knapp is now the king of the low camera angle under the ball when he hits it, and like the way it comes out the window, obviously the tempo he has when you slow it down, it looks so effortless, yet he's swinging it at 187 or whatever. I think he's the best player in terms of that angle in professional golf. Johnson, last thing, you got to sit on 16 all day on Saturday alongside Colt and Amanda. I know we didn't see maybe the shots we wanted to see or the birdies we wanted to see, but you guys had a lot of fun. How many players are coming over and saying what's up? And also, you guys were talking when they were hitting. Are you far enough away where you're not interfering? I was fearful of that at times.
There's a constant hum on 16 that you couldn't hear. You couldn't hear someone talking to you from 10 feet away. So definitely out of shot range. Only a couple players, a couple caddies came over. Mackenzie Hughes is a good friend of mine from Charlotte, so he came and said hello. And Siwoo went and came over and said hey to Colt. But there was a lot of chatter about possibly recontouring the 16th green to maybe have sort of a funnel effect, like a 16 at Augusta, even the front left pin 17 at TPC Sawgrass, to give it a little bit, because that green just crowns so much. And when you get the whole location on the edges, it's just, even from 128 yards, it's taken on way too much risk to try to get it super tight to that flag.
Yeah, I mean, you guys were, routinely making the point, for people that are just tuning in that maybe don't watch a ton of golf, but understand the importance of watching Saturday at the Phoenix Open. The greens were so firm that good golf shots really are hitting at 25, 30 feet right at that whole location, hole high. But if you take it on, and Patrick, we were seeing balls, I mean, they land hole high and they bound 25 feet past. And there were basically 2 spots. It felt a little bit like 17 at Bay Hill with that back right hole location where it's like, you're going to hit it one place, and that's all you're going to do for the entire day. Johnson, I know you've done featured holes before. When you get stuck with 17 at Bay Hill on Sunday, it's like, I hope you like 40 feet birdie putts, because you're not getting much more than that. But yeah, I'm with you. I'd love to see a little bit more opportunity for shots close. But Patrick, the firm golf course, I think plays the best in terms of the Phoenix Open.
Oh my gosh, 100%. We saw it there down the stretch with the volatility that we mentioned on last week's show with, Chris Gotterup going on a run there, but some guys wilted down the stretch like Thor Bjornsson. Speaking of the firmness, just going long of that green too, talk about a fatal mistake on number 16. And weirdly enough, the back pin on Sunday felt like the best chance for a hole-in-one. with guys just landing in the middle there and letting it run towards the hole. I know there are a couple close calls, but anytime you get conditions like this, the golf course is going to thrive, especially one with the variance of TPC Scottsdale.
Well, Gotterup gets another win. Been on fire this year. Excited to see what he can do this year. Can he kind of push Scottie in terms of player of the year later this year and potentially get himself in another major championship? We shall see. We got to talk after the break about our boy P. Patrick Reed picking up another win. I mean, best player in golf? Best player right now in professional golf? Some are saying it, and then we'll get into our Pebble Beach picks here in a bit. One of us three did not pick Scottie this week to win. Stay tuned. We'll get to that here in just a little bit on the Golf on CBS show. Back here on the Golf on CBS show. Before we get into Patrick Reed and the players being the best major despite it not being a major championship, Johnson, I did want to ask you, you got a few 100,000 people out there at Phoenix. You're walking around the golf course. You're there at 16 on Saturday. Best comment you got yelled at or best thing somebody screamed your way? Anything come to mind from the fans?
It was shockingly tame. I mean, there was a constant noise. I didn't really get it. And when I'm walking, I've got double earpieces in, so I can hear people say, "Hey," but I kind of like tuning them out. But didn't hear anything super negative to many players either. It was great crowds, way more tame than the Ryder Cup was last year. I'll tell you that.
There you go. Nice. The kids were good. They were good there in Phoenix. They were enjoying the weather. It was beautiful throughout the week. Speaking of beautiful, Patrick, your boy P picks up another victory. Patrick Reed, second win this year. He's gone win, playoff, loss, win on the DP World Tour. This guy has emerged as one of the best players in the world once again, pushing himself towards finally officially being a top 5 player in the world. Did you get a chance to wake up early and watch a little P golf?
Come on. Don't ask a question like that, Shane. You know I was up. I had the refresher in hand.
I don't want to offend you.
Watching P go against Callum Hill again for the second straight week. I didn't like the DP World Tour early in the mornings. Amazing, because you have some guys just like throwing up over themselves down the stretch, and then you just have P coming through and winning tournament after tournament. And the last few years, something that's like really bothered me in golf is how everyone just talks about how the only thing that matters are the major championships. And this little subplot here with P going against Rory for the race to Dubai is going to be awesome in the background the entire year. So right now, Reed has like 2,260 points, which is 40% of the way to Rory's average these last 4 years, which Rory's won the race to Dubai. And he's going to try to tie Colin Montgomery with 8 all time this upcoming summer into the fall. And just this back and forth and all the history these two players have between the Ryder Cup, between the legal implications, Shane, throwing a tee at Rory in Dubai, like the back and forth between these two, the 2018 Masters as well, when they're in the final group, P and Rory. And so I think this is awesome. And this whole time we just get to see P travel around the world and, like you mentioned, become a top 5 player in the world.
I mean, I think sponsorless as well. He's wearing the club hat that has the wear on the top of the bill, like you used to wear like your first 2 years of college. I'm waiting for the front of the bill to start fraying, and really start to vibe out like the college days. There you go. That's kind of the peak get up these days. Johnson, I said on Twitter he's going to win a major this year. Am I crazy, or do you think there's an opportunity that happens?
I mean, he played Augusta. He plays Augusta incredibly well. I think you said it last week. He could be a sneaky pick. Now he's going to win again. I think it's a great story. I'm not a fan of live golf. I just hate the division in the game. I wish everybody could come back together. And for a guy to say, you know what? For two guys to come back to the PGA Tour, I'm really happy for Patrick. He's not my favorite golfer of all time, but I'm happy that he made this decision and it's paying off for him because clearly he's a heck of a competitor and wants to do it at the highest level.
And seems to be driving the ball well. I mean, Johnson, you think about P in his prime, like kind of crooked and short. Seems like he's picked up a little bit of speed, finding a few more fairways. Obviously missed the fairway in the playoff a couple of weeks ago, and that cost him. But when he drives the ball well, I mean, you know how good he is around the greens. That seems to be when he plays his best golf.
Yeah, moving the ball right to left. When he gets it going, he gets sneaky long too because it hits that ground, and he would have been hitting the ball forever with the firm fairways in Phoenix the way they were running.
Yeah, got to get P back. Patrick, are we going to see P on the PGA Tour this year, or it's not going to happen until the end of the year?
I don't want to see him on the PGA Tour. I mean, when's the last time we've seen a world-class player on the DP World Tour?
It's a great point.
Like Keimer in the early 2010s, Fleetwood when he won the race to Dubai in 17. Like, this is cool. We got to appreciate P traveling around the world globetrotting. We need off the course of vlogs. Justine needs to figure that out. Like, create a YouTube page for him or something.
Yeah, I mean, just follow Xander's path. Like, let's get an app, and it'll be the P app. Johnson, did you do a lot of international golf when you were a pro? Did you get a chance to bounce around, or was most of yours PGA Tour, stateside, KFT, stuff like that?
Yeah, mostly that. Corn Ferry Tour, we got to go down to Australia. I went down 3 different years, Australia and New Zealand. I've played in Panama. I've a couple European Tour events, played Dunhill Links, a few Open Championships. I wish I had played in continental Europe. I'd never played in continental Europe, and it's one of my biggest regrets.
Yeah, I mean, I remember Brooks doing that, when he turned pro, and I just always thought that was so cool, the opportunity. Obviously, if you get a chance to play the PGA Tour, you're going to play the PGA Tour, but if you're not, playing European golf does sound really cool, and obviously it's expanded well outside of continental Europe in terms of what we see with the DP World Tour, but P picks up another win. I wanted to get into this because this was this was a big conversation on the Twitters. Brandel Chambly, who is a takesman. I mean, he has great takes and he has some questionable takes at times, but that's what he does. He creates takes. He was talking about the Players Championship and called it not just a major championship, but the best major in golf. Got some pushback. Phil Mickelson, I think, maybe his best tweet in about 2 or 3 years in terms of responding to that. But Patrick, one thing I've always said about the Players, and this is kind of my take for years on the Players Championship, is I think being the best of something is important. And I've always said the Players was the best non-major. And I thought when it sat in that space, that's when it was in its best existence. Like, I think about Duvall, coming down the stretch when he won, and your eyes were glued to the TV, and Tiger winning, obviously, with the big putt. Like, those moments mattered. And I thought it was okay to be the best non-major championship. Like, do you like this debate? Do you like this conversation, Patrick? Like, do you have takes on it as well, or do you just think this is a guy that is kind of paid to rile people up?
First off, I am a huge Brandel fan. I think the guy just rocks in general. He puts in a ton of research from what I've heard. I know Johnson's a coworker of his in the past too, and so like I am a #1 first team Brandel Chambly fan. I mean, major championships and like how they've been created throughout history have always been a little bit arbitrary, right? Like, people thought early on the Western Open should have been a major championship, and then there's the Arnold Palmer story, of course, flying over to the Open and kind of quote unquote creating the Grand Slam while drinking with a writer on a plane. And so I get it. Oddly enough, a colleague of mine in golf called me when this was happening, first to yell at me for wanting to roll back putters and go to blades only. Johnson, great to see that you're wielding one of those, although it did not look great on TV. It was awesome to see. And then he asked me about Gene Saracen's Grand Slam and if it really counts. I'm like, where is this conversation going? I'm trying to get out the door right now. He's like, the Masters isn't what it was, right? Walter Hagen should be a Grand Slam winner. So all of this to say, I don't think the Players is to that level quite yet with the history. I don't think you can be a major championship when you're hosting a Creator Classic the night before the championship too. Shane, I know you're involved in that. I think that takes it back a little bit as well. And of course, the field isn't including all the best players in the world at the moment. So for those reasons alone, I am out. But I will listen to the other side of the argument.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Brandel made a great point in terms of what he was saying. And I mean, I'm with you on the take. I thought it was a great take. I mean, I thought it was an interesting take, if nothing else, Johnson. I mean, I think that's the point of doing TV for a living, is you're trying to propose something that gets people talking. And I thought this got people talking. We're talking about it right now.
It definitely got people talking, and Brandel is brilliant. I mean, he's so well prepared. He's the most well-read person I've ever been around. But I'm not a fan of this take. It seems like the PGA Tour put out something that said March is major, and then I almost wonder, is Brandel getting a little kickback for this? Because it just made no sense. The way he said he He said it's the best major championship golf course as well. He said with the exception of the 17th hole. And
Right.
I'm sorry, you think this is better than Shinnecock, better than Augusta, Pebble? I mean, there's a lot of great major championship venues that require like these shot values he was talking about. So the Players is an unbelievable event. I've played in a lot of them. They treat us so well that week, and I love the golf course, the fans, everything about it. But it's like you said, be the best non-major there is, and they do it great year in, year out. The necessity to be called a major is infuriating.
Yeah, I mean, I think we know in the background some of the business reasoning why maybe the PGA Tour would want to push something like this. Like, I get that part of it. But again, this thing is important. The winners as of late have been incredible when you go down the list. And I reached out to our boy Justin Ray. I know we have a graphic on this, but I just wanted to ask in terms of the average world ranking of the Players Championship winners since 2000 versus the other majors, and just get a feel for what that looked like. And of course, Jay Ray, as he does, went above and beyond. The Masters average world ranking since 2000, 13.5, which was the best. Here it is. You see the PGA, the worst in terms of those numbers. U.S. Open right around 20. Excuse me, the Open, the worst there at 34.5. But I thought it was interesting with the winners outside the top 50 in the world. The Players has 5 of those. And I mean, most of those really, really impressive players in terms of world ranking have come over the last 5-6 years with the recent run of winners at the Players Championship. But I just kind of was interested in what it looked like in terms of world ranking winners at this event versus the major championships. And I was honestly, Johnson, a bit surprised that the Masters kind of was hands down the best number there.
Well, I think it's got the most lure. It's got, I mean, you saw what it did to Rory McIlroy last year, the Masters coming down
Yes.
the stretch. I mean, you get way more Rorys and Tigers winning that tournament, and less Danny Willits and Charles Schwartzel. The Open Championship I can see, because I think Ben Curtis probably brought that down quite a bit. Maybe Todd Hamilton brought that world ranking down quite a bit. And just the variability of the weather and the conditions you can deal with lends itself to having more not flukes, but just lower world ranked players.
Patrick, if the Players eventually becomes a major, do the past Players champions, are they considered major champions? I guess that's my last question here.
Like, look, I would love Ricky Fowler to be a major championship winner, but we're not doing this. I will say this marketing push, to me, it feels like it's almost a page out of Live Golf's book, where if you listen to some of their broadcasts early in the day, and they talked about how historic some of these victories were in Riyadh and the laser show and all that stuff. It's like, guys, you are not doing yourselves any favor. The Players Championship rose to what it was during a period when the PGA Tour wasn't trying to make it a major. And I feel like they took a step back with this marketing push.
That being said, what are we talking about? The Players Championship and what, we're 6-7, I mean, we've got plenty of time until we get to that event. So, I mean, if nothing else, the conversation is being had. And I think that's always important in terms of the takes. But of course, we're getting into a big event. We got Pebble Beach upcoming. Very excited. I think Johnson and I both have Cypress Point sweaters on. Which tells you all you need to know, Patrick, about maybe getting a little bit more involved in some West Coast golf. Just take a flight, man. Some of them get you tee time. I know there's a guy at CBS that might be able to get you on. We'll get into Pebble, picks, golf course, all of that next after the break. Oh, a few things in the world make sense these days, but Jim Nantz calling golf at Pebble Beach, like, just sign me up. Anytime it can happen. It feels like perfection, feels like golf is back. This is the time of year where you really start to roll into the best courses, the best lineups. I've always been a West Coast golf fan, Johnson, and we get Pebble Beach. I don't think there's a place on the planet better in terms of golf, if you're a golf fan, than being in that area for a few days.
It's so special. And when the weather's good, I don't know that there's a better place on planet Earth. It's just, it's remarkable. There's so much great golf. There's some decent public golf in the area too. Pasatiempo, Poor Man's Pebble is Pacific Grove Muni.
Pacific Grove, yeah.
That back nine is amazing. So yeah, it's a wonderful area. I'm happy to be here for a week.
Patrick, we kind of get the 1-2 punch. You think about Spyglass, you think about Pebble. Spyglass typically the place that'll beat you up a bit, and then of course you get Pebble. Depending on the weather, you can rip it apart. But the golf course exceptional, of course. Signature this week, so we got all the big boys in the field.
Yeah, first one of the year. Although I feel like the PGA Tour has kind of been cooking in the full field events so far. Pumped to see my girl Condi out there, Condoleezza Rice with the Pro-Am section. She's always playing well. I think she was with Justin Thomas last year, perhaps. So hoping she puts a good charge in it. Obviously, former Browns head coach candidate back in the day. But yeah, like you mentioned, 2-course rotation. Pebble's sweet. It seems like the weather could get a little spicy on Sunday in particular with the wind pumping up there. I think, what was it? A couple years ago, went to 54 holes, obviously, with Wyndham Clark winning. But I'm pumped to see some guys have to hit some shots with these conditions.
Johnson, did you have a Pro-Am partner in your day that stood out, that was like the rock star of all rock stars in terms of somebody you got a chance to play alongside?
I never really played with any celebrities. I played with a couple guys that were board members of the PGA Tour, John B. McCoy, and then his son, John T. McCoy. Those were my studs that I played with. John B.'s got a house out here, so I used to stay with him, and it was
nice,
pretty sweet setup. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, close to the course. Well, Johnson, I mean, we talked so much about the front nine around Pebble Beach, obviously a place you can score and get those birdies basically through that first 7-hole run. You get to the back, and there's some difficult holes. There's not a ton of birdies to be had. I know you're going to take us through some of your favorite holes on the back nine.
Yeah, all the water holes clearly get the more glory, but I think 12, starting at 12, is one of the greatest little stretches of golf. 12's par 3, 205 yards, downhill to an extremely narrow green. And the thing is, there's this flash of sand in this bunker. You're trying to just cover that front left bunker. So many balls will plug into the lip. If the greens are firm, this is one of the ones where you'll see people just one-hopping it right over the back and having a very delicate chip shot coming down. But absolutely one of my favorite par 3s that's not on an ocean. Well, directly on the ocean.
Yeah, I mean, you think about the old Fifth, or when it used to be kind of up into the land there, and then of course now you get this one. I mean, it's a difficult par 3, and then you flip over to the par 5, like a really unique, difficult par 5, a really 3-shot hole for most players.
It is for sure. And we saw Rory last year just take it directly over the trees and have iron into this par 5. But one of the wildest greens, I think, on planet Earth. You're playing a third shot from about 100 yards. It's a tabletop on the left and one of the most severe false fronts, this whole right side. It used to be anything on that right side would come off, but then they've managed to flatten it out and create a couple more hole locations up there on that back right.
Johnson, one of those wedge shots that back in the day when it was really severe, you talk about a nervy wedge shot from the middle of the fairway. I mean, you're just hoping to make par and move on.
100%. I mean, if the greens are soft, which they have been plenty of times, the ball's going to spin all the way off, but if it's firm and you one hop it over the back, it's even worse. And now 16, pretty forgotten hole here, but I love it. It's a great little layup par 4 and another green complex here at Pebble Beach that's just got a severe amount of pitch. This time on 16, it goes from right to left. One of the most 3-putted greens out at Pebble Beach. They're small greens, so that's not generally a stat you see, but everything feeds down towards the left-hand side, and putting up the hill is brutal. It's a really demanding second shot, especially because it generally has a little into and left to right crosswind.
Johnson, it's a golf course where there's just no sleeper holes. I remember having a conversation with Brad Faxon back in the day when we were doing the U.S. Open for Fox, and I was talking about the first hole at Pebble, and I said, not my favorite hole. And Brad was like, oh, no, you got this all wrong. You got to hit the fairway. It's a really difficult approach shot, one of the most severe greens. It's one of those holes where, you kind of want to make 4, but it's really easy to make 5, and it's difficult to make a birdie, and it kind of changed my opinion of the first. But it's an 18-hole golf course where they're all kind of great, and some are obviously spectacular.
Yeah, it is one of the most special spots. I mean, when you get to the third green and you play basically 4 through 10 right on the coastline, it's just unbelievable. That first hole is one of my least favorite holes out there, just because I don't think I ever played it well. Because you're starting the day with an 8-iron into that green. Oof, no, thank you.
Yeah, Patrick, we've seen some interesting tee shots off the first as well. Was it Molinari a few years ago that hit the topper there at one? It was like a little cold. Yeah, a little thinny one off the top. My go-to line is you're not a great player unless you've thinned a 3-wood off a tee, especially a first tee. We've seen pretty much every pro do it. But It's a golf course, and I thought Rory kind of nailed it last year, Patrick, in terms of winning on a cathedral of golf. I love the fact that it's a signature event because it feels like it should be, right? I mean, the fact that there's all this history, the golf course, the majors, everything about Pebble screams importance in the game and continuing and competing and potentially winning here. I mean, the list is pretty impressive when you look at who's won.
I'm really happy they decided to make this tournament a signature event because, I mean, even leading into it, the field was pretty bleak. The guys just didn't show up here at Pebble Beach. Obviously, you had the Pro-Am was a little bit different. It was a 3-course rotation, but just going back to 2023, I think the second favorite on the odds board was Tom Hoagie, which is wild to say. And Spieth was always the guy. DJ was always the guy before that too. And so it's just great that we're getting these players on a golf course like this. And this is really, I think, kind of the blueprint that the PGA Tour needs to use going into 27 and maybe how they change the schedule and with some of their playoff events. It's a pretty simple game plan, right? Your best players on historic golf courses with real stakes, and that's what we got this week.
Johnson, I've always wondered about the Pro-Am conversation with your amateur golfer. Like, what's the conversation in terms of picking the golf ball up? Do you have a conversation on the first tee about that, or is it just assumed if you're out of the hole, let's get going?
It's assumed if you're out of the hole, get going. I think the messaging that they have, that they get through the tournament, they're like, look, if you're making a double, if you're out of the hole, unless your partner's your pro's making an 8, pick it up. We've got to keep play moving. I always love playing this event. I took maybe 1 year off. It was always so much fun getting to meet so many different people. And I mean, that's how a lot of business relationships start for players too. So I agree. It's good to have the best players here, but it was a great event for the other guys too, because we always got in.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fun tournament. Again, it's going to be elevated this year, which we're excited about. We're going to get into some of the storylines around Pebble Beach, the signature event, really the first time we've seen all of the big names on a golf course at the same time here in 2026. We'll dive into that, plus picks, who's going to win, who's not going to win. And we've got some interesting names, I think, that have accumulated on the board. So more to come as we wrap up this Tuesday show right here. Golf on CBS. Excited for a little Pebble Beach this weekend. Golf on CBS show continues. Shane Patrick Johnson. Patrick, we're Pebble bound this week. Hit me with one of your storylines headed into the first signature event of 26.
I'm looking at one of those informed players to kind of level up their career and kind of alter the trajectory of it. It's been hitter after hitter so far through the first 4 weeks of the PGA Tour season, but we have guys like Ryan Gerard playing great golf, Siwoo Kim, Jake Knapp, like Johnson mentioned, Michael Thorbjornsen, Pearson Coody as well. And so we saw 8 different winners across the 8 signature events last year. And I'm really looking for one of those guys to really threaten the top of the leaderboard and contend and grab the biggest win of their young careers.
Would be fun. I mean, it seemed to be the theme this year, Patrick, in terms of informed players kind of keeping it going. We obviously saw that last week in Phoenix. Johnson, your focus is a little bit more on potentially maybe what's going to happen come Sunday at Pebble Beach.
It is, and even leading into the week, we're getting rain today, tomorrow, Wednesday. Tomorrow is Wednesday, excuse me. Isn't it? Yes, it is. Sorry.
Yeah.
When I just got out of
Maybe.
the WM Phoenix Open, guys. I need a day.
Good.
So wind, I've seen it hail. Like it can be just horrendous weather around this golf course. How many times you mentioned that it was 54 holes a couple of years ago when Wyndham won, but back in the day, Dustin Johnson, there's been probably no other event that's been shortened to 54 holes more than this one. So hopefully we're not going to get it like that, but it could play a factor.
I'm interested in Scottie this week. I mean, there's so much focus on Scottie Scheffler, but Patrick, I was kind of going through the wins. Rory last year was talking about the whole cathedral of golf thing, and I was going through Scottie's wins, and he won at some good golf courses. Obviously, he's won at Augusta National, he's won at Sawgrass, but the resume to me was kind of similar to what you see in terms of what Rory had won at in terms of golf courses. And I'm just thinking about Scottie adding a Pebble, Riv, things like that to the resume and picking up a win on a golf course that I think is kind of a career maker when you win here in terms of non-major championship golf. I mean, do you agree in terms of the golf courses Do the golf courses matter in terms of your resume if you're Scottie Scheffler?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they definitely matter where you win. And you look at the crossover between Augusta National and Pebble Beach, it's like just big name after big name, guys who have won tournaments there. Obviously, some of those came with U.S. Opens, but, Watson, Nicklaus, Woods, O'Meara, DJ, Spieth, too, for current players. So I think it definitely matters. And it was something Johnson touched on with Scottie's approach play. A lot of wedges this week, and I was looking at kind of the 50 to 125 yard bucket. Probably half of your approach shot might come from that range. He's averaging 20 feet in terms of proximity. It's about 5 feet more than he did in 2025. So if he can dial in those wedges early in the week, I think obviously he's going to have a great chance to add it. But that area to me is what you need to focus on with Scheffler.
I mean, if he has a bad week, he's going to finish fifth. So, he'll probably be there. But I'll be very interested in what we can see out of Scottie around Pebble Beach. Again, I just think about this stuff a lot in terms of the golf courses. And Johnson, I think as you get older as a player, you think about it more as well. I mean, obviously, it's been on Rory's mind the last couple of years. It's why he's adding some of these tournaments late in the year to go play and have a chance at places like, down in Australia. I mean, in Melbourne and stuff is an opportunity to win at places that are historic in the game.
Yeah, it's important. It's like winning at St. Andrews. I mean, Zach Johnson, is he going in the Hall of Fame? We talked about this last week. He's won the Masters in St. Andrews. Nobody that's ever done that is not in the World Golf Hall of Fame. Venues absolutely matter. But you don't think TPC Craig Ranch there in McKinney is in McKinney, Texas,
Thank you, Johnson.
On the same level as Pebble Beach?
Johnson.
I mean,
just outside the top 20, I think, on my list. But we'll get into that list middle of the season. Johnson, when the season starts to wind down, we're going to be throwing stuff left and right at you. We're going to be making you make lists all over the place. Not the case when it's a signature week. So you don't have to do that. We did make you make picks. We're going to get into those next. Who's going to win? Who's not going to win? We've got some different names, I feel like, on our list. So that'll be the last segment after the break as we get set for Pebble Beach. All right, fellas, time to get our picks out there. Before we get into who's going to win, I want to start with who's not winning this week. Patrick, give me 3 names that aren't winning at Pebble Beach.
The European Ryder Cup team is not winning this week. All 12 of them.
Jeez.
Are they all? I think they're all on the field probably. But Rory McIlroy, Tommy Fleetwood coming over from Dubai. Didn't have the best starts over there. And then, honestly, I kind of like Matt Fitzpatrick this week, but I just needed a third European to round this out, and unfortunately he was the one. So not a lot of science behind these picks.
God, bulletin board material again for the European players. They don't need that stuff. Johnson, who do you have not winning this week at Pebble?
Jordan Spieth, Wyndham Clark, and who was my third? Jordan Spieth, Wyndham Clark, and Brian Harman.
Yeah, you feel like Wyndham's kind of been on your list, and you've been nailing that. It's just not been playing great golf. Maybe we'll find some form at some point. I've got Ludwig. I don't think is going to win. I just don't really know what's going on there. Jordan Spieth as well on my list, and then Scottie Scheffler not winning this week. Put it on the list.
Blasphemy.
First time this year. Scottie's been on the can't win list. I'm sure that'll go well for me. Who is going to win? Johnson, I'm going to start with you. Who is winning, and also who's your pick?
I think Jake Knapp has been playing some great golf. I'm riding high for this guy right now. Chris Gotterup, I'm not going to put it past him. It's a great fit for him too, especially like we said, if it gets soft. And then Scottie Scheffler, and Scottie Scheffler is my official pick.
Back-to-back weeks picking Scottie. Johnson kind of going with the odds. I think it's probably the smart move. Patrick and I not that smart. But, I think just leaning into the guy, you can't run out of picks, so might as well go Scottie. Patrick, who do you have potentially winning, and who is your pick to win?
I got Xander Schauffele again. It's kind of like the scene from the Titanic with the violinist playing and being like, it's an honor, gentlemen. We're going down with the ship at this point. Victor Hovland won his USAM here. Obviously, played great last week. Iron play looks really sharp. And then I'm with Johnson. Scottie Scheffler, he's kind of been alternating wins in top fives as of late. So it's a win week for Scottie.
All right, I got Victor as well. I like Tommy Fleetwood, and my winner, Maverick McNeely, played well last week in Phoenix. I think he plays well this week and picks up the win. You can catch coverage from Pebble with Johnson and Company Saturday, Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern on CBS and Paramount Plus. Excited for Pebble Beach.